Hey, what's up? I'm just gonna start a quick live, and I'm gonna start. I'm doing these some of these lives because I don't have the bandwidth to do like a video blog, but I still have some ideas and I want to continue to flesh out content, so I'm doing it in the form of a live. But I'll try to engage the chat a little bit more, so it can be more like a live. But I wanted to engage the vlog. So I was looking back at some of the lives on here, and there'd be times like where there would only be like a handful of people in the live at one moment, and I'd be talking, and someone's like, "Hey man," they sound like you get personal when you're just talking one on one, but you're talking to us like a group. But I'm just more so making it like a live stream, like almost like if you can imagine like a lecture or something like that, like if say you had a professor, right, like in a college, and you come into a professor, and then the professor's quiet waiting for an audience to begin, and then they start as soon as the audience would come. But now, since the actual camera's rolling, you can just start talking to the camera, and since it's available to be ran back, it's still in the form of a video. So I'm doing it live, and then I'm making it in real time, and then I'm gonna do more and more to improvise on the commentary. But I'm also doing it just in the form of a video to keep uploading video to this content as a body of work in a canon unto its own right. And it's kind of it's actually maybe I can riff on that a little bit, is like how I'm doing this. So I'm now on this channel now. I just actually cleared 100. Thank you to each person who has subscribed to the channel. I've just made 104 subscribers on the channel. So I've been doing this channel since uh, um, about a year, like a year and almost about a year and a quarter ago. Less than that, about just about a year and a month, or just a little bit between a year and a month and a year and a quarter. And I'm now at about 770, so 75 almost odd videos, and still going. And so at that phase, there'd be like for a long time the subscriber would like stay at like one rate. So it'd be like around like maybe 15 subscribers for a while, then it was at 40 for a while, then it was at like it got up to like maybe it was in the 40s for a while, then it started to go on more and more. And I think that like a person, you might look at a channel like this and say that to someone that might look like a lot or a little of subscribers. And I took some classes about business, and like a lot of business is a lot about like supply and demand, and it's also about perception. It's similar. Both war and business are back exactly about perception. War is about deception, but perception, it takes perception to achieve deception, so as to capitalize on so like a lot of people are very arrogant, and they're not ashamed about being arrogant, but actually like a war would be like to capitalize on someone's arrogance and or misjudgment or naivety and lack of experience, and then capitalize on the purpose, the objective of war is to capitalize on vulnerability. So we actually live in a system called that we people appreciate and fancy, that and call what we live in capitalism, and celebrate what we have as capitalism. But actually, that word itself, capitalism, to capitalize, that is actually war par excellence. So it said all is love in love and war, but all is also but love, I mean, but war and business are about realizing, and then maybe true love is also reminiscent of both war and business, and isn't viable without different things that are reminiscent of war and viable. That is love is, as much as we pay homage to things like love. So I think, all things actually have a better part, a better half. They say that this life is that what the greatest one in this life is called love, but a lot of what we have in life is not what is reminiscent of what the word love means. And so we can say the greatest in this life is love, but this life isn't only love or always love. So thereby, there might be something different than love. So the greatest is love, but yet there may be not one greater than love, but there may be one sometimes better than love, and that would just be truth. Is that I think that there's levels to things, and actually truth, for the sake of truth, can be better than, sometimes actually better than love. I'm doing like these in the name in that. But some things that are like so when people are estimating things like the a lot of that we have now, right? So like, say you have now, let's see, what would be the most, um I'm trying like I'm trying to think what would be the modern iteration, but I'm thinking of like pickup artistry and like understanding like socializing dynamics. You had a lot of that, if you trace it all the way back, it goes back the furthest that I can extrapolate. It goes, all things have existed at one time or another. So there's always been men's rights issues and advocates and proponents and people that look into men's right issues. So that's not new. You know, like even like in the '90s, you had like the Little Rascals, He-Man, Woodman Haters Club. That's actually an older iteration of MGTOW. The actual film Little Rascals is an actual MGTOW film. No kidding. And is I bet you like a lot of girls a lot of women now that were girls, they would like the kind of boys that were on Little Rascals, like their personality. There's like some funny people on Little Rascals, and it's kind of funny like how they had like that well organized of a clubhouse as kids in that film, and it's believable. But they actually were, that's like a MGTOW statement right there. He-Man Woman Haters Club. They're mocking men's rights advocacy at that point in the '90s. But that's before you had the MGTOW movement. But the funny thing is that, like according to Zamparian, if you get men together, that film actually is kind of deep. In this film Little Rascals, they were a lot to do about. They're always talking about girls, right? They're like, yeah, man, and girls are this and that, and they're girls, ew, yeah, and they're always so this and that. And then the part that was a little bit of a misnomer about that, some things are Hollywood and some things are real, right? If you wanted a real rendition of the Little Rascals, the way that would have been in real life is that you get the boys together. Ew, girls are this, yeah, and then they're always like that. And my sister and my mom suck too. That's the boys talking, right? But then they go to the girls' clubhouse and like, yeah, boys are always this and that. Da, da. But they make it seem like the girls are equally as like preoccupied with the boys. Not so much. According to Zamparion, is that girls are actually more interested in girls. Boys are interested in girls when you get boys off together, and girls are interested in girls when you get girls off together like that. And that was my case too growing up. Like if you get like a bunch of girls together, when they talk about boys, guys, they're usually talking about guys having to deal with other girls like that. Like, yeah, yeah, and she did this and that, and then like when women be like, oh yeah, and like they'll talk about like people's boyfriends in their life, or like men in other women's life, but they don't just talk about women in other women's life, or I mean men in men's life, men for the sake of men's life, unless it's like not cool or something. But I'm just saying is that Zan Perion, is that women are simply beautiful and captivating, and are what life is. So if you get men together, even in a male space, to talk about men's issue, they're soon exactly going to revert to talking about women, and they're also going to bond as men over their similar experiences about women, and that can be for better or worse. Because I met a man recently, and he's a father. He's a former businessman from the Twin Cities. He's actually he worked like in healthcare. I worked in healthcare too, but I think he had more of leadership, and like a lot of the things that the Twin Cities are now infamous for, like in healthcare, like just the when healthcare fails, the like from like the redundancies or the overhead or just the mismanagement of healthcare. He was saying that he saw that stuff. He can appreciate that's likely true. From what he knows of healthcare, is that there had been problems and redundancies in healthcare, and that's one thing. Actually, I think that might be a deeper thing with the Twin Cities, is that in healthcare, I've made a statement on the channel before, is that when you combine certain things, when you conflate certain things, you actually bastardize and corrupt them in a way. So like according to Arthur Avalon, in India, back in the day, they would recruit people for like things like yoga and like different like schools of different kinds. But he would say that it was, to him, Arthur Avalon, who's a proponent of some solemn insights about yoga and translated them and rendered them to English for Western audiences. He said that it's actually when like a true relationship between a master and a disciple, a student, is a solemn thing, and it has reverberations. So too with friendship. Friendship has implications here and hereafter, because if you meet the right wrong friend, you may not be here hereafter. If you meet the right friend, you may have a family hereafter, as you wouldn't have got to have without that friend. So your actual friends in life, they have implications both here and hereafter, because a lot of who you are and what you are, what you're made of, what you're cut like, what you'll decide like and do like and be like, it has to do with what your friends afford to you, because we're actually more so given our personality. So like a lot of people don't just actually appreciate me in life. Like I'm not asking for flowers with that, but I'm a little bit. One way you would know like how you are, like you can't actually know how you are to other people. At no point do you really know how you are come across or exist to other people, or even by and large to yourself, because you have no experience of yourself without reference of other people or what other people give you, your sense of self like that. But um, but but one way that you would really have an estimation about how you are and how you come across, but also how you are, is like the things that people do around you or about you to get close to you or away from you. So some people actually have people that are really wanting to be like them. Like I'm a school bus driver. I've been a school bus driver, but I was always a nice school bus driver, and I was friendly, and I think my social skills have gotten a lot stronger as a person since becoming a school bus driver. And while in that job, I would get stronger and stronger social skills. So I can be appropriate, I can be friendly, and I can be like friend kind. I can banter with children where and how it's appropriate, and it is called for at times when you're leading children because hey, look what I did, Mr. Bus Driver. See this that I did? What are you gonna say? Are you gonna be like, oh man, what's that? Nah, I don't like. Is that a T Rex? Yeah, but I think I would have been with the Raptors because if I had five of my friends that were Raptors, and one of them took the T Rex's right leg, one of them took his left leg, and one of them told him like a joke about his mama T Rex had a big head and he got distracted, and then another one went for his throat like that. I think they could get the T Rex. And so that's just like a little bit improvising, but I'm just saying is that you can be if you were a leader like with people in general or of children, you have to have something of charisma just to be smooth about it because life it's not only what you're good at and what the actual the what the terms are because there's always going to be people that don't live up to the terms because even rules and terms they're a little bit idealistic, they're ideals. Law itself is a form of philosophy. A lot of people don't may look past that because a lot of people would say that, oh yeah, here go another philosopher. Philosophy, law, philosophy. You must. What are you, a philosopher? Oh, philosopher. But someone say, no, that's the fucking law, man. That's the law, man. And around here, like around here, everybody is gonna do this or that because that's law. That's law. But actually, law is actually a branch of philosophy, and it only has meaning based on the intellect. Like, because like, what is right and wrong? What actually is right and wrong? I'm not. There is a right and wrong. I'm not saying there's not. I had someone settle that for me. Is that I was talking to someone recently. Like he was very intelligent, but he wasn't like very. He was very physically formidable, but he was kind of like. So man, he liked that I was playing guitar. He's like, oh man, that's a cool guitar, man. But then he would actually say some real stuff. I got into the subject. I was like, so like, how do you actually feel about like self defense? Like, what's your standpoint on self defense? He's like, you know what's right and you know what's wrong. You know what's right and wrong in a situation. You'll know that. That's all he had to say about right and wrong. And I don't think he actually get more or less sophisticated than that, or more heavy, less heavy than that. But then as we would have to like agree upon things, because what's right for one person's circumstance may be different for another person. There's a little bit of like leeway and discrepancy with that, and so that's like where as it goes, if you would form fit it for you, you know what's right for you in a situation like mano y mano or them fools versus you or something that's really with you. But when it's a group of us, and you're not also an individual at that point, so you know what's right and wrong for you, whether that's another individual towards you or another group towards you. But it's differently when you're with a group, and some things require you to be part of a group, like say working and stuff like that. When you're part of a group, you're no longer an individual, so things up here seem different to people. Different people are different to different people. Because if someone came around here around me and they're making jokes about people with not a lot of hair, like bald head, something like that, that's a different level of statement to someone that doesn't have hair and someone that does. Um, so from that standpoint, when you're no longer in an individual, things hit different when you're part of a group too, and so you have to have something agreed upon to be malleable, generally speaking, as we're familiar with. So that takes like reasoning and intellect, and like also being able to communicate, and when it is actually a form of argument. So law itself is beset with arguing, because you're getting your point across, but also it's open to interpretation and arbitrary that whole time what is actually right and wrong because we're actually free. We're in the true sense we're actually free. We're free to do right, do wrong, be wrong, think right, be wrong, and also act, choose, and suffer consequences better and worse. We're free to do that by and large as human beings. But 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 to get by with one another, you have to actually to lead other people to have to actually agree upon something because we're stronger when we are in agreement, an accord. That's a form of power is to be in an accord. It takes like being convincing, so thereby arguing. So it takes reasoning, rhetoric, and rhetoric doesn't necessarily mean falsifiable, but it takes rhetoric, reasoning, persuasion, charisma, assertiveness, strength, sacrifice, duty, penalty, allotment, grace, mercy, magnanimity. If you want to be all the way congruent about it, it takes all that. But however that can be most well enunciated to a group to get the group on board. So it's like the ends justify the means, but also the group justifies the group and the individual. So I'm just saying that the law is philosophical from that standpoint, and that can be overlooked. I picked that up from Tashik Bey. Is that law is yet a form of philosophy, a branch of philosophy par excellence. But uh, um, so I a little bit diverged with that one again, but I was wanting to say, but so I've been on this channel, and I've been working up to having more subscribers. I just got past 104 subscribers, and I'm really humbled by that. And that for me, that's a real actual accomplishment because this channel, like I said, I'm now to about 775 videos, and a lot of that time, like I got some sturdy comments on there. I can think of a couple salient comments I got. Like I did a video about like some of my thoughts about guitar, and then someone's like, "Hey man, you're the fucking goat, man." I'm like, "There's nobody show up." And he's like, "Goat right there, man," just for something I said. So thank you for that comment. And then I had a couple other like really outstanding. Like I did one video. I want to talk about this a little bit again. I was talking about the color yellow as being profound and how I would reason that, and then and some different ways to break from your habit of attention to actually train your very attention, and disabuse yourself of some of your habits and attention, which can actually be blundering for different people. A lot of times, like you would, in a dire example, that would be like, heaven forbid, someone had a mishap with operating a vehicle. By the time a person would have a mishap with the vehicle, likely they were operating on, like, according, when I did training as a CDO, you come across something called I think it's called there's something 100, like 323, 7 and something rule. It's like a three-part ratio that if you have any behavior, right? If you do that behavior, you can do that behavior like 300 times, right? You actually have like you have not been trained. You have a shortcoming in your training and or your habits and or some degree of your habit of exercising judgment as a driver. You shall do that statistically. They have statistics dialed in really profound in terms of like risk and like insurance and stuff like that. So I actually got taught this principle by someone who was in insurance. He researched mishaps on the road, and then he became a teacher for CDLs. But he worked like in the safety department, CDL, a great man that was. And he explained these things that, and that it wasn't unique to him, but it's unique in the field of CDLs, is that if you have a behavior that's a danger to yourself and others, it's actually a poor way of doing something. You may do it up to like 320 sometimes. And a lot of those times, it's like you're just doing it. You're not realizing. Like, say you had an example that, say you don't come all the way to a complete stop at a stop sign. That's a good example. So, say when you approach a stop sign, you are very like laissez-faire about a stop sign. You check out the scene, but you don't actually stop completely before the stop sign as soon as you see a stop sign. So you roll up to it, like, say my nose is a stop sign. You roll up to it, or just like that. Now where I live at, my parents' home is like, it's on like a really mini hill. So like there's like a main street, a famous street where you've had some famous people in literature and society, and even some current influential people live on that famous street like that. But then where they're at, it's like a block off, but it's slanted. And so where you come from either end of their block, either of the ends of their block, you go up a hill like that. But when you go up that hill, there's a stop sign at the top, but it's also a blind corner. So as you come to that stop sign, you can't see anything that would be coming even at a slow pace, or not least a fast pace on the sidewalk at the hill. Now that street, that's one of the main famous running streets. Not only running, but also biking. It's a very famous street with a lot of beautiful, profound houses on there. Old houses, not the least of which the just to be frank, the actual one of the a significant house is there now, like a very well-to-do, like I'm right now. So there, in different states you have different famous houses. This street would have several of such houses on one street, famous, influential over the 20th century and still yet now. But so there's a lot of, that's like a main destination and attraction for people to run the Twin Cities Marathon exactly goes down that road for a long time, for a lot, probably the any of all the 0.1 miles that the Twin Cities Marathon and all marathons go, the longest stretch of which at least like three, four, probably four, between 4 and 5 miles of that, some of the latter part of the Twin Cities Marathon, it's on that street. So where my parents have lived further on it now, but when I was growing up, I yet lived on that same street yet again when I was a child, and that was on an actual college campus at that end of it. But my mother would wake up early and watch the runners go by. The winners, my mom wanted to see the winners. Like there'd be like whoever was really about that life, they would come by. Not too long after the race started, like we're already 20 miles downwind, and the race only started like an hour and such ago, and there they go. But then after that, all kinds of people like the second place, the nearly would be, could be, the also rans, the walking, but they're going to get celebrated as also rans, and then like all different levels of ability and skill will come behind that, and they're all righteous for doing that, and they're all beautiful for doing that. But I'm just saying is that street is of so much about running like that. And most people would run in the boulevard because it is a boulevard, but people do also run on the sidewalk. So if you have a habit as a driver of being half-assed about stop signs, where my parents live at, you come up to that hill where there's a stop sign. If you're half-assed about it, according to that rule that I learned as a CDL, you may do so 300 and so odd times statistically, probability in terms of probability. 300 times, you roll up to that stop sign. You didn't much stop. You didn't much care. But then out of that, like maybe 23 times, you have some close calls. Like someone's walking up. Oh, they keep going like that. But it could have been hella heinous like that. A second later, a second sooner, it could have been heinous. But it wasn't, and they were cool about it. Oh, or they weren't. They weren't. But you were actually you were exercising an inevitable, imminent flaw in judgment that's going to be costly at one point to yourself and or others potentially. Then after that, like I'm not verbatim, but it's something like 320 some, I think. Then a lesser number, like maybe like 20 some, will be more and more serious. Then you have some near about real close calls like that. You just pull up like that, you weren't even paying attention. Then there goes somebody biking with a baby behind them, and you damn near almost missed both of them like that because you had that habit of doing that. Then heaven forbid you keep on doing that and you didn't learn from those other issues. One of those times it'll actually be an actual incident, and it'll be damage and or injury and or fatality, just like that. Matter of fact, can't undo it like that because that's at play. That rule of probability like that. That's called a heuristic. It's like something that's been observed in human behavior, and it can be appreciated to replicate if the conditions are such again. Because a lot of life itself is cyclical. Life is cycles within cycles. Therefore, some cycles can actually be anticipated. Like I've said in other videos, if you wanted to, like one thing to prognosticate is to appreciate the future before it would unfold, or especially speak over it. And that's almost like a form of blasphemy and not tolerated in a lot of faith venues. Like that'd be like false prophecy, prognostication, foreboding and things like that. And like speaking out of turn and stuff like that. And that's really problematic even in a church to speak over the future like that. But if you actually wanted to spell the future better than an oracle, like right now, if I wanted to appreciate all eventualities, possibilities from now, here on after, and as if I'm existing, it'd be to just do nothing, understand nothing, say nothing, mean nothing, know nothing, and appreciate or revere, maybe worship that all things are existing within imminent, perpetual, and near eternal cycles, and things will exactly unfold as a function of the current cycles that they're undergoing. And that also would actually include choice and effort and risk and randomness. Is that even the choices we exert and the randomness and the effort and lack thereof, there's still different degrees of function. Like for example, say a person about to have a workout, right? Would you know how hard someone is going to go or can go in their next workout? It would be not caused by it, but it'd be correlated to and correspond to their actual rest levels and their recent diet. Both your rest and your diet exist within cycles, and those cycles are profound. So one of the most dangerous things a person can do is to sit on their bed during the day or take naps during the day, because that's actually impacting your sleep cycles in a deep way, and you can't undo that instantly, arbitrarily as you like to. Your body will more so reset itself for you. I think it'll calibrate back to a healthy rhythm after, if you give it time. That's a form of healing right there. to recover the rhythm, and the body is possessed of different talents for healing. But it is still a form of a cycle that's been initiated by you, like maybe lollygagging in bed during daytime hours, and that can be anticipated and appreciated to different extent. That cycle of function of resting during daytime hours, then the difficulty that would present during sleep, then the difficulty that would present at a workout in terms of the effort that's expended. A lot of that can be appreciated, and some of it can be anticipated and calibrated and accounted for more accurately than probably layman person like myself would be able to enunciate. But I got a lot more content. I want to keep coming back with some more today when I have more bandwidth. But I did want to say that thank you for the people rocking with here and the subscribers. And I want to say is that some things are like kind of niche audience. So I was beginning to say that a lot of like value, the way people understand value, as is known to people who are savvy in business, is that value is perception, and perception of it has to do with degrees of scarcity. A lot of value has to do with scarcity, and our concepts around scarcity, which can either be limiting or afford bounties if we wouldn't at how we approach scarcity. Therefore, a lot of value is an idea of scarcity. So like, imagine you're going online and you're gonna look for like a book on Amazon, and there's only one remaining book of this book in the whole wide world, even though it's the Amazon platform. One remaining book right there. Ooh, what to do about that? Why not procure it so that it would be rare and valuable, mind you, collectible maybe, perhaps, but also take it away from anyone else that would take it away from you before they got a chance to, and actually have possess it so that it'd be valuable if needed to, just to have it is value, and then if needed to utilize, it'd be more value to have it than not to have it. I had someone say that to me at one time in my life, like, "Hey man, it's better to have it than not have it," but that has to do with our sense of scarcity. So the sense of scarcity makes things appear more valuable, and then if things actually are valuable, scarcity makes them to be more valuable because they're more rare and harder to come by, and therefore more valuable. But whatever people are engaged in terms of value is from the perception of value with reference in consideration of supply and demand. And that actually constitutes part of the value in the way that something is able to function in a market, is the sense of scarcity around it. Um, but so and availability. But all I'm saying is that sometimes when you have like less of an audience, that it's a different form of value, because that can be more rare too. Your content may be more rare, and also you attract what you are. So whoever your content would speak to, would resonate with, they may have a background that'd be as interest not as maybe extraordinary, not as to be better, but just extraordinary as yours. And actually, some of the standpoint, receiving the vintage and experience, to have a lens to appreciate what you're actually saying, meaning, and thereby the value of it, such that, as like according to India, it's rare to find a great teacher, but it's yet more rare to find a great student. That's the standpoint of some great people in India. So too, it's rare to find a great YouTube find. I actually had a neighbor. I advertised this channel to one of my neighbors before, and he liked the channel. I checked it out, but he said before he knew I had a channel, he said, "Yeah, man, a lot of times like YouTube, a lot of it has went. It's not the same what it was, and like a lot of it isn't the best. But what is the best is actually the best. It's really great stuff. But you have to kind of go through a lot to find the best stuff like that." He said that, but that's like a deeper thing too. Is that it takes a lot to do something original, but it also takes a lot for someone else to recognize something original and see into it and read into it, because you somewhat hear things and perceive things based on the lens of your experience, and also you value things based on the lens of your experience to know what to think of as valuable, what has been valuable to you, and it'd be different when someone sees it or not. So the fact that it would be not a lot of subscribers, but also that 100 subscribers is not a lot. Like my mom didn't grow up around like YouTube and stuff like that. If I told my mom, "Hey, I did a stream last night and 9 people watched my stream that night," my mom would say, "9 people watched you? Wow, that's a lot." To my mom, like 9 people took the time out their evening or day to watch my son. That's a big deal for my mom. But so that's actually a lot. 104 subscribers is a lot of people to subscribe to. But with respect, relative to other venues and platforms, it wouldn't seem like a lot. But I'm just saying is that some things are actually, that's understood to people like in music, is that you have different tiers of success as a musical artist, but also different tiers of support, and one's not better than the other. Like last summer, a couple times when if I have a right instrument, I notice it happens more with the classical. When I'm writing music, sometimes people will actually come up to me and be compelled to give me money. I had that happen like with twice last summer, and so that'll make you feel like a real actual professional. Uh, well, but um uh but so the value but so that sometimes something that is neat. Oh, but those are different degrees of success as an artist. So you can be at any different degree, like Super Bowl level, local choir level, a small quartet yourself, like that, and then different degrees of like compensation and stuff like that. But some people that have a great long track record and success, it's not just from the blockbuster stuff, because like what goes up must come down, but also what remains steady, even as she goes, even keel, with sincere support, remains that too. So sometimes people can have a longer, better career just rocking with the people that rock with them over time, that people that really put them on like that over time, better than being way up there, like larger than life, and then the shit come crashing down like that. So I'm just saying it might be similar, like with that might actually be some form of barometer. The only barometer I use for this content is really the subscribers. You can't actually exactly even go off of the views, if you want to be honest, because like I'm doing a live now, and sometimes people will pop in and out. Just they might see my face like, what is this guy? Damn, like, and I go to something different. So the actual viewership, the viewer on a video, it might not speak to the real value of the content, but the actual, or what it means to another person. But the subscriber feature does, because that had to mean something that you subscribe to it. So I've been humbled and redeemed and blessed that I have 104 subscribers, and that's for me is it's a greater thing. Emotion is that I'm now up to about 775 videos, and like I said, I've gotten some real sturdy comments here in between. But also sometimes just when people don't comment, that's also respect too, because I'm trying like a lot of bold, daring statements on here, and things that could really be like a sticking point and sensitive if it wasn't landed and couched. Couch means like to prepare how you say something. If I wasn't calibrated or versed at all in these kind of topics, these are really some subjects and topics that could get a person like really some heat that they don't need online and stuff like that. But more so, I think I've had a lot of tolerance to attempt these things, and I want to be humble about that and say thanks too, because everyone has a different thought about all things. But sometimes people just give you enough respect to rock out and do your thing, and people ain't giving you like real like real antagonism that wouldn't be called for, because if it's called for, then it's called for, but just enough to let someone be themselves. But I've looked into different things, and I think that might be why I can land some of the statements, because I've actually looked into the things. I'm not talking about anything that I haven't looked into and done more of looking into it than I've actually done content creation. Even as much as I've offered videos in 1 year, that 775 videos in 1 year, I would have been watching that much and more over many years. So it's something that rock and roll ain't new, baby. But but I just wanted to be humble with that and say that the fact that I'd have that many subscribers is a barometer of some of value, and it's a different metric of value in that you could say that if I had like, if you look at some videos, just look at random videos that pop up and they got 30,000 views, 60,000, 100,000, and it's like here go the shit that girls do on vacation, da 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 da, and they got a lot of views. That doesn't mean it's not value, because like traction is a form of value, but it's not necessarily better than another thing just because it's like that and having them views like that. But just the subscriber just means something, is all I'm saying. And I want to say thank you for each person watching this, because it takes a lot to invest in learning about something or hearing someone say something. But I've also invested in it, and I've also invested in this channel by uploading quite a lot of content in good faith, because I don't anticipate. I don't. I'm just doing it for its own sake, for the enjoying the content, but more for off the strength, you could say, because I do enjoy the skill set in uploading content and like the feedback when I get it. But a lot of it is more so just to do it like, man, I'm about to make another video. I don't know how or why or when or where, but I just feel to make another video, so I'm gonna keep doing it. And now I'm at 775. But I'm gonna sign out real quick because I got low battery, and then I'm gonna come back later today if I may. But I'm gonna check out some comments here. I got Caden, Cato boy, Caden, Cato boy. Hey, what up with the Caden, Cato boy? Hey man, we coming through, man. It's about to be me. It's about to be me. That fool, Tricky, and and we about to be there with Cato boy. So make sure you ready for it, cause we coming with Cato boy, about to be the mean Cato boy, about to be at the spot. You about to be there. You about to be there. I about to be me Cato boy up there. But like that. Voila. Then I got dude stop yapping. Oh shit, I didn't even read it. Dude wasn't even rocking me. Hey, so we had to drop off Kato boy, man. It didn't even be Kato boy, man. It's been me, man, because I thought we were rocking, but he didn't. He said I was a yapper like that. He was down with the yapping, zip zapping, yapping. So I had to zap. I had to drop him back there. I gave him a dap, and then I had to zap it out of there. He dabbed it. But here you got me now, the yap.